Hi everyone, welcome to my plan with me video for this week. I'm gonna try and slow things down a little bit this time so that you guys can see a little bit what I'm doing in a little bit more detail. So to start off, I'm gonna try and explain a little bit of the tools I'm using. This one is the Kuru Toga pencil, which I had mentioned last time. And as you can see, while I'm pressing on the tip, the little barrel in the center, if I was a little bit more in focus, rotates the lead. And that's really useful because it means that as I draw, it rotates the lead, and it means that it doesn't blunt the lead in any one way, and it keeps it as sharp as possible. So it's really great for doing technical drawings or really precise writing, and I'm finding it that I'm really enjoying using this pencil. So what I'm doing now is I'm going through and just sketching the base outline for the drawing I'm doing. Instead of doing a dial like I did last week, I'm just changing it up a bit and doing a more of an elongated style. I really like having like an artwork in the center and then having a little call outs for the dates. It means that I can be a little bit more liquid with where I put all my tasks, and I'm not set to any columns. So I'm going to try and do that for this week as well, but not using a circular theme. I'm now using my Tombow mono eraser, and this one's really handy because it's got a really sharp tip and the eraser is pretty good quality as well, and I use that to erase like little small details. And this is my new Sakura Micron pen. I say new because I saw it at the shop, so it has a blue barrel instead of the regular beige barrel, as you can see above. But I'm finding that they kind of work exactly the same, so I'm just finding it useful not having a beige barrel for the 100 microns I have in my pencil case, so it's a little bit easier to see it when I'm pulling it out, and it tends to be the pen that I use the most during the week, so it's handy to have it so visible. If you guys know why this one has a different barrel, please tell me, but it seems like the ink quality is the same and it's waterproof as well, which is really, really handy. So when I'm lining something, in this case with the 0.1, I try to add some variation to it by just bunching the ink a little bit, as you can see on the tip of the whale's nose. And I kind of like that because it's it kind of mimics how you would have it if you were drawing with a fountain pen and the ink just stopped. And I like doing that every now and again. But this time around, I didn't want all the lines to be a dark black line, so I'm using a Faber Castell watercolor pencil here to go through and just line the central part of the whale so that the definition between the two isn't so strong. And if you're using a watercolor pencil, you try to use the color that's really similar to what you're going to color with, because it means that when you go through and use it, it'll just blend into your watercolors and you won't even notice that there's a line there. That was a little bit disastrous. What I had done was drawn the eye of the whale, and I was really impatient and went over to the side and flicked off the rubber and then smudged the eye, but hopefully that'll be covered up with the watercolors when I do it. This is my watercolor palette. I use a range of 16 colors from the Daniel Smith range, and I just squeeze it out into this pen. But I find that 16 is enough to measure all your colors, and the Daniel Smith colors are really nice because they have a lot of gradation and movement in them, which is nice if you're not adding too much detail in your washes. I'm showing you my brush here. I use the Winsor Newton Series 7. They cost me an arm and a leg, but I'm really glad that I use them because they come to a really nice crisp point. I use it in a 0 and a 4, so 4 for the details. And this is the Fine Tech palette, which I'm going to be using today as well. And the Fine Techs make excellent metallics, but I normally use this for calligraphy, but this time around I'm going to see if I can use it on the painting. And I just want to show you that when I'm watercoloring, I have 2 jars, one for cleaning my brush and one for wetting the brush to re-wet the colors. That helps the colors not stay so muggy and more clear. So what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just going through with a pale blue-gray and just blocking the color, and then I'm going back and dropping in a lot more of the stronger colors. So some of those I don't even mix, I've just dipped it straight out of the pan to get it as strong as possible. And I'm just blending in some blues, also a bit of ultramarine and a little bit of violet to make it like a like a splotchy blue colour, and I've kind of made a mistake there where it's bled into the stomach too much, and I've gone back with I've just pinched all the water off the brush and then picked it up off the stomach and you can still do that when the paper's still wet. I find with the Leuchtturm it's quite forgiving. And I'm going through now and just like slowly adding more dark colors, but you can see because the paper's so thin it's buckling, and I stop every now and again to go back and smooth it so that it doesn't all pull in the dips in between while the paper crinkles. So I find that if you're just vigilant with going through and making sure that the paper that it's not pooling and just picking up all the excess color with your brush, then once it's dry you can't even tell that it was buckling. So I use the buff titanium white to make that creamy white color over the clouds, and then I'm actually going to use the golds from the Finetec palette to make the cloud shading, and then the bright yellow gold for the moon. And I'm finding it's the Finetecs are working really well. It's really luminescent. It's actually catching the light really nicely. So I'm still experimenting with these, how to use them, because sometimes I find that they look very different from other angles. But what I'm doing now is I'm going back and darkening the stomach, because I'm finding I had originally wanted to paint in the details, but I thought that wouldn't actually work as well. So I want to darken the details so that I can go back with it with white afterwards. And that meant that the top of the whale wasn't as contrasting as I had wanted. So I'm going back with like a dark blue and some black, which you're not actually meant to do with watercolors. You use pure black. You can achieve a pretty good grey black using ultramarine and like a yellow ochre, but I like having black there because I'm a bit lazy. So I've used that blue-black colour too, and I've diluted it down to create this really pale wash to create this cloud behind it. And I've done this because I wanted to have a background to tie the central artwork together. I found that was a little bit floating and it wasn't really standing out, so I was hoping this cloud would work, and I've added some extra water as well to create the second cloud, so it's like a much lighter color behind the original one. And now that it's dry, the colors aren't what I thought they might have been, but that's okay. So to make it pop a bit more, I'm going with the Sakura Micron 0.8, and the 0.8 this one's new, so it's drawing a lot more like a 1 than an 8, but I like how this effect looks. It's like backlining and going through and just making those lines a little bit thicker just to make the drawing pop a bit more. I'm going to use a Sakura Sakura jelly roll for my white, and what you can see I was just doing there was removing some residue off the tip, and you'll find that because white ink is so sticky, a lot of times while you're drawing, what will happen is that the paper or the other inks would stick to the tip and then it won't draw as well. So I find a really good way to get around that is to clean the tip in between uses, or as soon as you see that it's starting to skip, just clean the tip with a tissue or a piece of paper, in my case my finger, like whatever you have on hand, so that it draws a little bit neater. And I've used that to draw in the details of the whale's stomach and some dots on his fins and his nose, and then I'm finally going through with the really luminescent silver on the top of the whale just to add that little extra shininess to it, now that I can see the effects of the metallic paint. And I've mixed some black with some blue here to create the date circles this time around. I didn't want a pure black, I still wanted that bluish tinge to it. And this time round I actually checked my dates so I didn't screw it up like my last video where I couldn't count how many days were in the week. And yeah, so what you can see me using now is the Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip pen. If there's any proof that I've improved over the last year doing bullet journaling, is that I can actually do this now, because before I would write all my calligraphy with the 0.1 Sakura Micron and then go back and shade it in like faux calligraphy, because I couldn't control the pen yet, and it's nice being able to do that finally. So I hope you guys enjoy my video. You can see how now that's done that the metallic paint really adds a little bit of sheen to the page, which I'm really enjoying. And I'm I'm really grateful for all the support that I've had in my videos so far, and I hope you guys have found it useful. If you have any ideas for videos in the future, please tell me, and please like and subscribe, and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys next time. Thanks a lot. Bye.